Hi, this is Flo. Now, this is going to be a video on updating your Design Space to the new Design Space 3. Now, when I have Design Space up, this was Design Space 2, and I was forever having to refresh my browser, and the Adobe Flash would frequently crash. So, being good little people, they've tried to solve our problem, and what you do now is you go to https://design.cricut.com, as you see up here, and when we get to this, you'll have to wait for this because this is in real time and my internet's not exactly fast. It tells us to sign in with your Cricut ID, so I'm going to do that, and it'll automatically put my password in there because I go in so often. Now, if you already have a Cricut ID, don't create a new one. You only need one for everything Cricut. So now I'm going to go sign in, and it's going to come up with the new Design Space. And it says, welcome to the new Design Space beta. Now, these are just some little pictures across the centre explaining how the new one's going to work and what it is, and I've just quickly gone through all those, not even waiting for them to load. So I'm now going to click out of those. You can spend your time and go through them a little bit more in detail. And it says, welcome Flo. It knows who I am, so that's great. Now, along the top, you've got what they call the Hamburger Menu, which is up here, which is 3 little lines sideways. And for those of you who knew that, that's great. Some people don't know that and wonder where the Hamburger Menu is. And it says Home and Beta, Welcome Flow, which is my site, and New Project. Now, I'm going to go over to the Hamburger Menu. There's some little things going on to the side. Oh, this goes backwards and forwards. This is just an advertising bar by the look of it. I'm going to click the Hamburger Menu and I'm going to go Home and see whether that changes anything. No, obviously this is your home screen that you're going to load up on. I can see here that this comes up with my projects, and these are projects that I've had in. If I go further down, it says Features Projects and what's new for Cricut Access. And so I can see all these things. Now, if we go back up to the Hamburger Menu, I can go Canvas. Now, this is something that is new, and when we go to the new canvas, it is new, and it says Download Plugin. So we click on Download Plugin, and we can wait for it to download. Yes, it's downloading here at the bottom of the screen. And I've just had my granddaughter come in. Hello. We're going to, Nana's doing a video for people on here, and at the moment it's downloading a special program that's going to come up. Right, now as you can see, we've got this downloaded at the bottom, and I'm now going to click on it and hope that it only needs a single click to load. Yep, it's got a little wheel of fortune running around there, and we'll hopefully see what that does. Now I can see that that's changed colour on the download plugin, and it's asking us to download it. So I'm just going to accept the agreement and go install. Oh, here's another little thing. There's a few little clicks and bits and pieces, but if you just follow it through, it's installing quite quickly, and then it's done. Now I'm going to have to allow access because otherwise it won't allow the program to run. Now you can see that we have got a different screen for designing on this time. So we've got a screen or a canvas that at the moment is in 1-inch squares with 1/4-inch markings, and we're going to go through the Hamburger menu, and this gives us our canvas, and that's where we go to. Now we're going to go, this says print then cut calibration, manage custom materials, new machine setup, update firmware, account details, link cartridges, Cricut access, settings, legal, new features, United States, and I think that just says whether you're in the United States or Canada. Then we've got a help and a sign out, and you know who signed in because your name is down here now. It's not up at the top. Now, I'll let you go through these things a bit later, but the first one I'm going to do is settings. And under settings, you can see now that the first thing it says is keyboard shortcuts. And if we press the question mark on our keyboard, or we click on here, it will give us keyboard shortcuts. Whoopie-doo. We are now going to be able to cut and copy and paste, bring forward and back, and send to the back and delete by just hitting the keyboard. In fact, I think I did a lot of those things before, and sometimes they worked and sometimes they didn't. So you can do yourself a little grid with those. If you're used to working in Word or some of the other programs, you'll be very well aware of those. Now, the canvas for the grid, you can have a full grid, you can have a partial grid, which is just the 1-inch grid lines, or you can have no grid at all. So I'm going to put it back on the full grid. Now, the other thing that they have now done is they've got it in inches or they have it in centimetres. Now, your centimetres are centimetres and half centimetres. So if you're used to doing your crafts in centimetres, you'll now be able to do them in centimetres. Just remember, your mat is still the same size. So I think I might go back and put it in inches, mainly because I'm more used to working in inches with the things that I do. So I shall go back and put it in inches until I decide that I'm going to work in centimetres. Now, the settings, legal just tells you a little bit about this is your feedback, and you also have a help button which will send you to helpful information at Cricut. And remember that help button because it is actually really helpful. Now, if I go home, I've got this screen come up, and this is the landing screen again. We can pick new project. New project takes us to the canvas again. Now, as does this top button here if we're on there. This is our projects. Now, projects is different again. It comes up with projects and all categories, or we can search my projects. Now, this is really fun, this one. This is what I have been doing, and these are my projects that I've got saved. Now, in the previous version, you'll know that there was a list of projects, but you didn't know what they were. And if you're anything like me, when you were clicking through them, you had to try and remember that the Swan Card A4 and the Swan Card CD A4 were probably just fractionally different, but I managed to save them twice. And then I've had an altered Swan Card, and I wouldn't remember which one was which. But I've got them all there with the little pictures of what the screen looks like when you open it up. Now, the other thing that you've got, and I will do it on this one because this is a cot that I designed from Cricut Images. And if I put this up and I think, oh, now someone is bound to ask me how I got these images and where I got them from. Well, this is now really interesting because on the right-hand side now, it's going to tell me that this is Bath F. It gives me the hashtag number, and it tells me that it's from Paper Dolls for Every Day. So you now have a list of what you used, or at least what I used in here, to get all the different things that make up this project. If it's an imported piece, then it will tell me that it's in my images. So that's really interesting. I'm just going to load this project. I don't have a picture of it because I designed it and someone else made it. I don't think I ended up making it myself, so that's one of my challenges. Now, you'll notice that this is flattened and it says so over here. It probably will take a little bit to load because if this is flattened, it'll be a picture. So this will be a print and cut, and as you see, yep, there's a little print and cut icon right there. So what I've done is I've done these with the print and cut items. You've still got your layers panel on the right hand side over here, and as you can see, if we click something, it comes down and it puts all the little chocolate bunny together, and if we do that, we can put the chocolate bunny and concentrate him down, but he's still there. You can see the result of the slice and the result of some of the things that I've done in there, which is really good. But up the top, just underneath the layers now, you've got group, ungroup, duplicate and delete. So those are there. Now you've got your edit panel now right at the top. So that makes it really good to be able to flip things and change things around. So if we put the little person up here and we want to edit it, we can go to edit, and it's got cut, copy and paste under the edit. We can still select all. We can arrange, so if we want to arrange that and move it to the back or move it to the front, we can do that. And we can flip. So if we're going to have a, he's not a kangaroo, he's a camel, and we go to flip, it'll ask us horizontally or vertically. So there's a lot of information now that you can get up here. We've got the rotate on the front, we've got the sizing on the front, again with a lock in the middle, and we've got the XY position where you can do your XY position. Now, that's our projects came in. So if I wanted to make this project now, I don't have a machine hooked up to this one at the moment, so I need to get my machine hooked up to this one. I can save it, or I can make it. If I want to go to new, it's going to ask me a project already exists on the canvas with unsaved changes. Do you wish to save your previous project or replace it with a new one? Now, do you wish to save your previous project or replace it with the new one? So we just say save the previous one. And so hopefully that's not going to change anything there. And we will very soon have a new canvas up. And that's exactly what we've got. Now, with our images, if we click on the images, we're going to have our images come up, and you can see at the top here, while it's loading the images, it says search among 60,000, so we've gone up 10,000 images since Design Space 2 came out. We've got categories and cartridges working the same way, but I do notice that the images are larger in size. So this makes it a lot easier for people as we get older to actually read what they are. And you'll see if you click the I button, it will tell you it's the butterfly clip, the hashtag number, and the cartridge that it comes from, or the group. It also tells me that I purchased this one. So if it's in access, it'll also have the little A flag on it as well. Now, if we go to cartridges, they still don't seem to have the cartridges listed so that we can search ABC, but I think if we put a V in there and we search V, I think it comes up with the cartridges. No, it doesn't. It just searches anything that's got a V in it. So if you've got Anna's lovely lovely cards, because it's got a V, it'll still search that. So we will, in your categories, you've still got your featured categories in your most popular and the free ones, and you can go down and have a look at where they all are. Nice to go through things like that when you're having a little look at things. Now, if we go immediately back to the text, it goes straight back to the canvas. We don't have to exit out of the other one to go back. Now, we're going to put some text in here, and I'm just going to write a name. Now, with our text, we can do some amazing things now. And you'll see that there's a text bar come up down here. It asks us the font we want to use. Now, at the moment, it tells us that we're using a certain font, which is Cricut Sans. Now, you'll see that although this is still very small on this side, it gives you a quick look at the font. It actually gives you a really good look at the font because it has the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog, and as everybody knows, that has all the letters in. But as well as that, it gives you the extra hieroglyphs that are in, like the percentage button and the apostrophe and things like that. So if you're using some fonts, you'll find that they don't have these. So this is really neat now because you can just go through there and say, yes, that looks good, that's not what I want, and it's a lot easier to have a look at. And if we change it to this one, you'll see that immediately our name has changed. Now, the other thing it has is a writing style. Now, this is a writing style font, so if we go back to, we'll just flick up here to Cricut. Where did we find Cricut? It's an A. Very difficult when you're trying to find all these different things, and you here we go. We'll go into art philosophy. Now, art philosophy says regular, and when we drop down, it tells us that this is a regular font. It also came up initially when it came up with Cricut as to whether I wanted it as a writing font or a different font, and I don't want to spend hours doing that. Now, if you know your font size in picos, this is your size of your font. But again, we can do line spacing, and we can do the size in width and height. So if you want your font to remain relative, you can just put it up so that it makes 2-inch height, but you can do that either way. If you've got it at 2 inches, your font size is still down here, so you can do that. Your letter spacing brings your letters closer together, so this is your kerning here. And if you double click on here, you can see that we're going to do I've now got 3 words up there, and the interesting thing about these 3 words now, when I click on them, you can see that we've got an alignment button, and we can do them center or left or right. The other thing that we can do now is we can go to the advanced button, and we can ungroup to letters or ungroup to lines. Now, ungroup to letters means you can have each of those letters as their own one, but they still remain a letter. Now, if we ungroup to lines, it means each of these becomes its own line, and we can move them around. And this is a new feature of the Design Space 3. Now, again, we can do some things with these. We can group and duplicate and delete with using them up here. If we had colours, we could go to the sync panel, which is the same as the previous sync panel, at least much the same. You can drag and drop your things on. The other thing you can drag and drop is you can drag and drop things into your design space if it's an SVG file. But before we go ahead and do that, we've still got our shapes and our score line. So if we do our shapes and our score line, you can see that we can move these along. We've got a score line, and you can see the score line on there quite well. If we go to layers and we change our circle, which of course is highlighted, and we change our circle to a lavender, we can see the score line on it by there, and that's very handy. Now if we overlap these, because we're wanting to edit them in some way, either slice them or weld them. Now we're going to edit, and it says cut, copy, paste. When I selected those, you'll see that I had 3 selected, and I probably won't do 3. Now what I'm looking for here is the button to slice them. So let's delete, duplicate, group, rotate, flip, arrange, align, edit. Alright. So we will have to find, now this is where they put the slice button down the bottom. So we can slice them, and they slice apart, and we can put them back together again if we want to by just highlighting them and welding them. Your attach and your flatten is now down the bottom, so when you do that you can weld them together. Now there's still not an unweld button, so if you want to unweld that, you have to go to your undo button. So you can't weld and then unweld unless you go directly back. So your shapes are still in there. Now your upload button, and this is my recent uploads and what I've done with them. You can see that I've got these little things in here which I have uploaded and played around with. But if I want to go to upload an image, I can either drag or drop the file here, or I can browse it. Now I haven't got my smart drive on here, but I could see if I've got a I don't think, yeah, maybe I did. Let's have a look and see whether I have SVG files on here. Yeah, looks like I've got some SVG files, and I've got a baby shoe. Now I've got a baby shoe up here, and I've just dragged that across, and we'll have a look and see what's happened. So I'll get this down. It says the upload SVG contained the following items that are not supported. Okay, we'll continue and see what that says. Oh, that's because it's a drawing. Okay, let's go back up, and let's try and manage to get an SVG one that is actually an SVG. Let's see if the basket is. Yeah, now the basket, this one's an SVG, but here we go. And that one is an SVG. We'll go out of that now. And now it's got that on it. How are we going to get this down? So not an idea now. So this is our Cricut Design Space, and now I'm not sure where we go. So I've just hit the back button to see what that's going to do for us, and I'll hit the upload button again, and that didn't work, so I'm not quite sure what we do there. So I didn't manage to save it at all, so we'll upload again, and we'll go upload image, and we'll browse, and we'll see if we can find the SVG files. Now this is an SVG document, and we'll put it in there. Now this comes up better. I'm not quite sure. I know we are supposed to be able to drag and drop, and I'm sure there's a way of doing that. I will have to go through. At the moment I haven't read any of the instructions. I'm just doing it as someone new to the program and having the first little go at it just to see how easy it is. Now this is an upload. I didn't name it, but it's named Brown. It's given it a name, and I can delete it if I want to. So if I hit delete, it comes up here again. Do I want to delete the image? So you can't just hit delete and have it jump out of the way and then have to go and find it again. You do have to do that. Now if we go back, that's the basis. Now as before, we can go up and down. If we click on the center, we can go straight back to 100%. One of the things that we don't seem to have on this is the canvas. Now I used canvas a lot because I used the square canvas, which gave me an 11.5 inch base to see whether my projects would fit. What I would do with that now is I'll just simply put on a square. I'll go to 11.5, and I will change my square to a paler colour, maybe lemon, in a very, very pale lemon, so that it's just in the background. Now, one of the things I haven't got with this, even if I do that, is I haven't got the grid over the top. But you can see what I do have is an 11.5 inch mark here. Now, because the grid lines now are so good, I don't know whether I would need that. I could just put my images onto the mat and see how many I could get on there. So if I choose the little bee, here's the little bee. I can see that the little bee is 3 inches high. He's 4 inches wide. I don't need him 4 inches wide. I only need him about 2.5 inches wide. Otherwise he's going to be too big. But he actually tells me that he's 2.5 inches wide, so I don't always have to look up here. So now if I want to duplicate that, now it duplicates at the top, and again it still duplicates like it's at the so that it doesn't overlay one on top of the other. Now if that's 1, I know that I can go to 12.5 to get my 11 inch piece. Now if I want to put these little bees up there, I think 4 will go across on there, but I don't think 5 will. So if I put my little bees up there, if I highlight them all now, I can align them to the top. And align is here, and we can just align them to the top. Now align again, and if we go to align, I can go distribute horizontally, and they'll distribute themselves across the page. Now if I want them to stay there, I will have to ungroup them and put them so that they go there. But in the meantime, I know that 4 little bees in their larger size will go across the page, and if I want to put them there, they will be there. Now that's a very quick overview of what you can do with things. If we select one bee, we can now rotate just that bee, and we have to make sure that we hit the right one, or otherwise we can sit there and we can go 45 in there, and we can turn them 45 degrees. Now if I notice that turning them 45 degrees, the surrounding block still stays horizontal. Now if we do that, it still goes horizontal. And again, you've got the height and width of what it is. What I'm doing here is I'm putting my finger on shift and just rotating it. But you see, again, we've got the actual height and width of what it is, even rotated. So there's a lot of new things in this, but there's probably more coming. Instead of go, we've now got make it. We've got my projects up here. If you go to make it, it will now go to your screen. It's telling you your mats. Your mirror for iron-on is on the right-hand side, and your project number is up here yet again. And we go continue. There's no point in me doing that. It'll ask me for the machine because I haven't got a Cricut device attached to this one. But it tells me what I should be doing to make sure I've done that. Now it also says edit mat. Now, aha, I can edit my mats. And I can come with this one, and I can now not only move them around on here, but I can edit each of the mats. So I just have to put edit on, and I can do that. There will be a lot more, I'm sure, that I haven't found yet. And so I will go back. We'll go out of this. And it told me how many mats. Are you sure you want to cancel the cut? And I'll go yes. And we've come back out to the outside of the project, and these are my projects. As you can see, they're all there, and I can pick a project that I've been doing, which this one here is a box card that I've nicely done with that, and that will again come up with the things I've used in it, and it'll load on my mat. But as you can see, my internet's a bit slow, so we just have to wait for that. Now I hope you've got the idea of all of these different things. I can just pick open, and that will come onto my screen. Now I had the bees on there, and I've just loaded one of my projects onto it. So this is going to be very interesting, because if you had something on your screen before and you loaded a project, the things on the screen would disappear, and it looks like it's done so again. So that's there. Okay, have a great time, and all the things you find, just check them out. You've got, again, still your layers things over here. Your sink is still there, but you don't have to worry about where your edits are. They're all up here. So just remember, you've got down the left side, across the top and across the bottom on the right hand side, you've got your scroll bars that go back and forward. you can either do those with your arrow keys or scroll them back up. Now, this is all there. You've just got to try and look around and see where they were before, and they're not too far away, and most of them you can see from this one screen. You don't have to go into the edit and find all those things under there. So I hope this has helped, and that you'll get into Design Space 3.